Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I am very excited to be bringing you guys this tutorial because we are going to be talking about, you guessed it, how to get the perfect arch, the perfect neat picture ready brow. So before we go any further, I want to let you guys know exactly the tools that you'll need. I'm starting out with a pomade. I have the Tattoo Studio. This is by Maybelline and this is in the color black brown. This has been one of my favorites recently. I do like the e.l.f. Cosmetics. They have a cheap one, a drugstore pomade, as well as Salon Perfect. So if you're looking for a pomade at a reasonable price, I would check out those three brands. If you don't mind spending a little bit more, Anastasia of Beverly Hills has a good one. And there are a couple more high-end brands out there. You guys just will have to Google and do your research. The next thing that you guys are going to need is a good concealer. I think with arching your brows, you should use a concealer that is a thicker based concealer. This is the Born This Way, and this is multi-use sculpting concealer in the color Butterscotch. If you're just learning, the LA Girl concealers are a perfect concealer as well. The next thing you're going to need to achieve the perfect brow is an angled brush. This one I'm using here has two ends. The angled the angled brush part is on one end, and the spoolie part is on the other end. You are going to need a spoolie to brush your brows up just to get them in the shape that you're going to be trying to follow for your brows. And then the next brush you're going to need is just a regular concealer brush. These you can get for $1 at the drugstore. Let's get into learning how to do our brows. So on this side of my face, as you can see, I've already kind of mapped out where I wanted my brow to be. And you can start with like the bottom of the brow. And just follow the natural arch of the brow. And then I took my brush and I did the same thing with the top. Just map out exactly where you want that line to be. And I've done this one like this, and I'm going to show you how to do the other brow just like this one here. When you are dipping your brow into the pomade, you don't need a lot of product, and that's also how you get darker brows and what you need to have. So go ahead and be sparse when dipping your brush and picking up that product. You can wipe the product off alongside of the pomade jar. That is fine to do, just to make sure that you have an equal amount on your brush. So with this here, I'm gonna look at my brows in the mirror, and I'm gonna do the exact same thing I did with this brow to this one. And remember, brows are not supposed to be identical twins. As long as they look something alike, they're gonna be just fine. So I'm gonna do the same thing with this one here. So. And this brow for me actually has less hair under than you can see with this one. So it's really a little bit more difficult for me to trace. But as long as I know the shape of this one is also fine as well. So I'm going to take that down like so. As you can see, I'll get up close so you guys can see the line underneath my brow and this one here. And I haven't even filled in this one yet. So you see how that one is looking great already. And I'm going to fill it in just a second. Now, if you have like loose hairs, because we don't get our brows arched once a week, we don't get our brows arched every other day. So if you have loose hairs, that's what a good concealer is for. So don't worry about that. They definitely can be covered up, those little loose hairs that's underneath the brow that maybe weren't in the arch. Don't worry about that. So as you can see here, we have that line started, and that is a good base. And now we're also going to do the top. So I'm just taking a little bit of product on my brush with my mirror. And we're going to do the exact same thing, starting with, and when I'm doing my brows, I don't make the top line all the way to where I did the bottom, just because you guys are going to see exactly what I do with that in just a second. I'm going to start back a little bit and make sure you're holding your brush with a little bit of pressure and just following the natural arch. Like so. So that is the outline of my brows, as you can see. And now we're just gonna fill them in with the pomade, and that's the really easy part. So let me go back to this one, the one I started with. And if you need more product, just go ahead and dip your brush back in your pomade. And you can brush that out if you like, just to see where you are. And the spoolie actually helps you if you make your brows too darker than you would prefer. The spoolie actually can lighten them up for you. So just brush very, very gently through your brows, and that will lighten them up for you. Now for the beginning of the brow, I'm going to show you guys exactly what I do. I don't like to do strokes at the beginning of my brow. I just take the brush and move it up, as you can see. And you don't want too much pressure when you're doing that, because you don't want the beginning of your brow to be too dark. So that is one brow, as you can see, and it's gonna look 100% better once we've cleaned it up. So just wait, let's do the other one. So now we're gonna do the exact same thing to this brow with just filling and shading it in. And then also brush it out first, just to make sure it is your preference of how dark or how light you like it to be. Okay. And then at the beginning, remember, we're just gonna put a little bit of pressure from the bottom of your brow and swipe up. And don't be afraid to brush that out as well. And I love those hairs at the beginning of my brow to be like straight up. It looks really natural. And so these are my brows as of now. As you can see, this one is a little bit thicker than this one, just a little bit, but we're ready to clean that up with concealer. I always just take a little bit of it, and this one has like a little brush application, and I put it on the back of my hand because when I am concealing my eyebrows, I don't like to put too much concealer on the brush. So just like I was telling you with the angled brush, not to use too much pomade on the brush, to start off really lightly. You also want to do that with your concealer brush as well. So I just take a little bit, just saturate like the beginning of it. And you're going to start mapping out under your brow to get that perfect arch and to have them look perfect. And then you can drag it down just a little bit, but not too far. A lot of people will use like a beauty blender or something to smooth out their brow, but I think that just using your hand, your fingertip to do that really works best for me, just because it melts the product in really good, as you can see, with no lines. So now you have like the perfect cleaned brow, as you can see. I do not like, since this brow is already kind of damn near perfect, there isn't any reason for me to go in and like put some on the upper brow area. But I do see right here where I like to kind of fix that. So I am going to put it up there a little bit. And then as well with your finger, just blend it perfectly into your foundation or into your skin if you haven't done your makeup application quite yet. Okay, so as you can see, the perfect brow has been made. The perfect baddie brow. You're gonna love it. Now with the next one, you do the exact same thing. Just dip it a little lightly into your brush. And we're gonna do the same thing that we did with this brow with this one, just to clean it up. Okay, so as you can see, that brow is perfect, and you can kind of see the concealer before I've blended it out. And I want to show you guys that, just to show you how your finger really like blends that into your skin. And you see how that little mark is like gone now. And this brow is damn near perfect. Now, if you are a perfectionist like me, you might say that the end of that brow needs to be just like, you know, fixed just a little bit. So I'm gonna go back in with my brush. And it is definitely okay to fix anything that you're not happy with. So as you can see, these are how my brows are looking. And I absolutely love them. And I see how this one, as you can see, there isn't enough gradient effect for me. So I'm just going to go back in with my brush. And light strokes, and I'm actually using the very tail end of the brush and just flicking it up. Thank you guys for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.